Hello and welcome to the Marketing Times Analytics Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Safranis, and today we're on with Trevor Levine. Trevor, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Trevor Levine with the Marketing Experts. I've been helping clients improve their conversion rates since about 1999 and have been on a long journey where it started mostly with direct mail. And obviously, as the internet and smartphones became popular, I've moved into doing more email marketing, mobile, optimizing mobile pages, video sales letters, all kinds of things. One video sales letter, I guess I should say that in the process of these 26 years or so, I founded a company, I scaled it to six-figure months, and I sold it. And with that company, I created a video sales letter that sold $1.2 million of digital information. And I've done successful video sales letters for other people as well. So that's also been an interesting trend.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really interesting. And we'll definitely get more into that. So you mentioned conversion rates. What are some of the most common mistakes that hurt conversion rates?
Yeah. Okay, great. One of them is, let's talk about the copy. Let's start there because I started out as a direct response copywriter. Now there's a lot of things that affect conversion, but let's talk about your sales page or your sales video. Whatever you're doing to get traffic, you're spending either a lot of time or a lot of money probably to get people to a page. When you get them to that page, one of the big factors that's going to affect your conversion rate is the copy. So one of the mistakes is relying too much on adjectives instead of verbs. For example, you might say, "This is the most innovative, groundbreaking method for your market." That kind of sounds like bragging, and it's not that convincing. It would be better to say, for example, "Stop wasting time on minutia. Automate 70% of your operations. Spend more quality time with your family." See the difference between the verbs versus the adjectives?
Yeah,
So that's just one. I've got a few more if you'd like.
absolutely. Go ahead.
Sure. So another mistake is selling the process or the deliverables instead of the results and benefits. So, for example, let's say you've got some kind of an 8-week program. Maybe you're helping people with their paid ads. You're an agency, you're a coach. And selling the process would sound like this: get eight sessions in membership in our private online community. Okay, those are the means, or that's the process. But what are the results? What are the benefits? So if you were helping people improve their paid ads, it would be, for example, you could make a bold promise: double your profitability from paid advertising, or you don't pay. Or if you're a relationship coach, it could be valued by people you love instead of disappointed or frustrated. Lower down, yeah, when you get lower down on your sales page or video sales letter, sure, you're going to mention what they get, how many sessions, what the deliverables are, but that's not what you lead with. Another mistake a lot of businesses make is talking in terms of I and we instead of you and your. So you might say, "I believe in holistic healing and I have 3 certifications." Yeah, down lower on the page, that could be useful. But if you want to hook people and get them engaged, you got to talk to them about their pains, their problems, their aspirations, and what are the benefits that they're going to get only from your solution. So, for example, instead of talking about how you believe in holistic health, you could say, "Are you tired of living with joint pain? Now you can be free of pain without expensive pharmaceuticals or side effects." Another mistake is a lack of word pictures. For example, you could just say, "Protect your joints from pain." Okay, that's good, but we can make it better by talking about, by painting a picture. Won't it be great to keep gardening and dancing when you're 80 years old? To keep playing on the floor with your grandkids instead of feeling confined to a chair and feeling disconnected. That creates word pictures that are compelling. And one more is a lack of negative ripple effects. So it's one thing to say, if you don't take this supplement, you could become deficient in vitamin B12. But what are the negative ripple effects of becoming deficient? You might say, Without this supplement, you could lose your memory or balance. You could fall and break a hip, crippling you for the rest of your life and making you a burden to your adult children.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so really painting a picture in the user's mind about what benefits they will get from the offering.
Yeah, and why is your offering, your product, your service, your program, your course, what is different and better about it versus everyone else who's in your same space offering a similar solution? That's called your unique selling proposition, and that has to be covered as well. So, yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, I love that. So, yeah, I'm curious, like, what are some of the other pitfalls that businesses might encounter, maybe like in around testimonials and other things like that?
sure. Okay, testimonials, these are some easy things. First of all, you don't want to bury them at the bottom of the page. You want to start them pretty high up. A lot of testimonials are lackluster. For example, if someone said about me, Trevor met our deadline and he was very professional to work with. Big deal. You're not hiring me for those reasons. You're hiring me to improve your conversion rates. That's why if you go to our website, marketingexperts.com, all the testimonials talk about specific results. For example, Trevor tripled the response to this, or Trevor increased our response by 17%, whatever it might be. You want the same thing. You want to have testimonials that describe what was life like before your solution, right? And what is their life like now after they used or consumed your solution? So if you just leave it up to customers to provide it, you often won't get that. What I like to do is to reach as soon as I get something positive from a customer, or if my clients do, right away reach out to them, say, oh, thank you so much. I would love to get on the phone or Zoom call with you, a video chat, and ask you some questions about what your life or business was like before, and specifically, what are the specific outcomes, results, or benefits that you got. And once you have that conversation, obviously transcribe it, you consolidate the best content into the testimonial you would like, and then you share it with the customer and ask them to either approve it or edit it as they see fit. Now you have a much better testimonial. Some other things are, if you only include a first name and last initial, some of your readers are going to think it's made up. They're going to think you fabricated it. The people are skeptical. So at the very least, you should have a full name. Even better, you can include their city and state if you're marketing to consumers, or if you're selling some kind of a business solution, you could have the person's title and the name of their company. If I gave you a testimonial, it could say, from Trevor Levine, owner of the Marketing Experts. Video testimonials are obviously the most believable, or maybe that's not obvious. So if you can capture those, a great way is to do an interview with your customer on Zoom, and you ask them questions, they answer, and then your video editor compiles the best of what they said and takes you out of it and just has them answering the questions. And the last, also great, is to have screenshots of reviews from independent sites like Yelp or Trustpilot or even your own Facebook page, if they are compelling and describe before and after results.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it's very insightful related to actually identifying the person giving the testimonial to increase that social proof. Why do visitors put off making buying decisions? And how do you create urgency?
Great question. A mistake a lot of businesses make is just describing what they have to offer. So you describe the whole thing and people read about it and then they say, I'll think about it. Maybe I'll come back. And then they leave your page and who knows. And what you need to do is not just describe it, but make an offer. Typically gives them creates some urgency, gives them a reason to act now. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Obviously, you can say only the next 50 customers get this particular discount or this particular bonus package or this extra coaching session. You can take out something that's part of a more expensive program, like if you have a high ticket multi-thousand-dollar program, take out a piece and offer it for $47 That's called a tripwire. And let people know that normally you would have to invest thousands of dollars just to get this super valuable piece. But for a limited time, we're letting you have it for just one time $47. We did that. I had an online school, and the basic course was about $200. And one of the lessons was particularly valuable. We help people thrive on a plant-based diet. So most of our customers were vegans and vegetarians. And one of their concerns was, how do I get enough EPA and DHA, which are types of omega 3s, because those are not in plant foods. So we pulled out our lesson on this topic, omega 3s, and offered it for $7. Again, that's called a tripwire. And we let them know that normally you would have to either pay around $200 or pay monthly fees for a year in order to have access to this. But for a limited time, you can get just this lesson, right, and learn how to make sure you're not deficient in omega 3s for $7. And what we did is, first, we had them opt in to get a free video. And on the thank you page, we offered the $7 lesson. 9.1% of the people that opted in bought the $7 product on the next page. And a high percentage of those people then bought our $200 course. So that is the potential power of taking out a piece, right, from your more expensive offering. And make sure they know that normally they would have to spend a lot more. That's a way of making an offer. You can also do a trade-in offer. For example, if you sell hardware, sometimes phone companies do that. You can also widen the gap between free and paid. Would you like to hear about that one?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Recently worked with a client who'd been doing an online summit for 14 years and was looking for ways to improve the conversion. Already have a lot of people opting in for free, but he wanted to see if he could get more of the free registrants to pay $67 for the recordings. I asked him some questions, and I discovered that they had done a lot of interviews of experts and put some of the video content into the free summit. But it turned out that only about 20% of all the video content they captured was in the free summit. There was 80% that people would not get for free, and they would get it if they paid $67, but that wasn't explicit. That wasn't actually mentioned. So one thing we did is, in order to widen the gap between free and paid, is we made it really clear that not only will you get all of the episodes from the summit without having to hurry up and watch them every day before they expire, you get lifetime access as always, but you also get the other 80% of the content. Also, he was going to offer a community forum for 8 days, which is the length of the summit, for everyone. And I said, why don't you have a separate private forum that's more high touch for 60 days for the people that pay $67, so they'll feel like they're getting more support, they're getting more high touch. And he ended up not making a separate forum, but he did give the paying customers 60 days in that forum instead of just 8 days. So those were two examples of how we widened the gap to make the paid offering more valuable, and it did improve his conversion rates. The last thing I'll say is that a lot of these things, some of these ways of creating urgency can be gimmicky, right? Like only the next 50 people get it, or this offer expires after 48 hours, or whatever. You can also use natural urgency that doesn't require any gimmicks. And what that looks like is describing the natural consequences of inaction or choosing the wrong solution. And that means any solution that's not yours. And you obviously have to explain why any other solution is going to be a mistake compared to yours, because yours is different and better. But here's an example of creating natural urgency. Let's say that you help people finish writing their first book. Maybe you have a coaching program, maybe it's a ghostwriting service, something like that. Maybe you sell a course. So you could say, imagine someone else beating you to the punch and releasing a book that fills your market niche and becomes a bestseller, all because you waited. How will you feel when they steal your chance to become the authority you deserve to be? We don't need any expiring discounts or bonuses to make people feel the pain or the anxiety of that potential outcome of inaction or choosing the wrong solution.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So it's a lot of, you're tapping into the fear of missing out in that example.
The fear of losing the opportunity to have what you want in that example. Yeah, you could say the fear of missing out. That's a more simple way. But there's always natural consequences. If you don't deal with your joint pain and it gets worse, what are the natural consequences? You'll be you're going to lose your ability to do things you love like dancing or gardening. You're going to wind up confined to a chair and feeling disconnected from your grandkids when they're playing on the floor. So those things again don't require an expiring discount or bonus package because they're the natural consequences of inaction or choosing the wrong solution.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. For a business, why wouldn't their guarantee be improving their sales, and how do you create that instant boost?
Sure. One of the reasons a guarantee might not help is because it's buried at the bottom of your sales page. A lot of people wait till the end when they reveal the price to describe the guarantee, but what the best thing to do is to have an offer or even a headline that combines the result they're going to get, the time frame they're going to get it in, and the guarantee. So you might say, return to your natural body weight within 60 days, or you don't pay. You covered all three, right? That's the outcome, that's the time frame, and that's the risk reversal or guarantee. Now, okay, so let's go back to making the guarantee great. There's a variety of ways to reverse the risk. If you just say you could get your money back, that's okay. Everyone offers that and people expect that. But that's not really reversing the risk. You want to be able to say that no matter what you decide, you're going to come out with a guaranteed gain, even if they, for example, return it. So it could be that return to your natural body weight in 60 days, or everything you've downloaded is yours free. So you might have a video course and some PDFs that they download. You can turn off the video course if they ask for a refund, but they still keep the PDFs. That would be a way to make sure they come out ahead, right? Or you can say, take the first step risk free. So pay for the conference now, or pay for the coaching program now, or pay the down payment now. And if after our first session, or if after the first day of the conference, you're not ecstatic with the value you're getting, you can ask for your money back. So that's a way that they can feel safe, right, to take the risk because they still have an out. And obviously, it's on you to make sure they get the value they're expecting and that you promised, and it'll improve your sales. Another thing you can do if you're selling a physical product is to offer that they can, if they don't get the result, they can send back the empty container, maybe with a photo of them consuming or using the product, right, to prove they used it. So let's say you're selling organic plant fertilizer. You can promise that your plants will grow bigger and faster than ever before, or you don't pay. And what does that mean? They can send back the empty bottle and get a refund.
Yeah.
Now, some business owners feel uneasy about offering guarantees like the ones I described, where someone might be able to get a free session and then cancel, and the business owner or someone they hire, gave an hour and now there's no revenue, right? Or they don't want to take back the empty container because now they can't resell that product, right? So here's what you can do to make yourself feel more safe and also still offer the bold risk reversal. You can make the guarantee conditional. So what that looks like, for example, let's say you have an 8-week program, is you can say in your headline or at the top, you'll get this result within this time frame or you don't pay. But when you get down to explaining the guarantee, it can say, in order to qualify for this, you have to show up for every coaching call, right, on time with no rescheduling. And you have to submit your homework by midnight every Monday for 8 consecutive weeks. And there could be a lot of homework, right? So how many people are really going to stick with that for 8 whole weeks and submit all the homework? If they do, they're probably going to succeed with your program, right? That's what you want. You want to give them incentive to do the work that's necessary to get the results so that they're happy and they give you a testimonial. But if they fall short of the conditions, you don't have to give them a guarantee because your guarantee was conditional. I said You don't have to give them a refund. That's what I meant to say, because the guarantee was conditional.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's definitely a good idea to make sure that you're not incentivizing bad behavior for consumers.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, you're gonna sell a lot more than you are gonna get people asking for refunds. But if you're worried about it, you can certainly make a conditional guarantee. One example, a relationship coach selling a $17 book offers a free spot treatment if they don't get the result of feeling more respected within 48 hours. That's a big claim, and a spot treatment is not cheap. But there's a condition, right? They have to do all the homework at the end of all the chapters and show proof of everything they wrote down as their answers in the homework. Are they really going to go to all that trouble? Nobody does. You're also giving them incentive to do the homework, which is what you want because you want them to get the result, right? And give you a good review or testimonial. So that's an extra positive from the conditional guarantee.
Yeah. So moving on to website visitor behavior,
Mhm.
why do so many visitors abandon at a checkout page?
The first reason is that on your sales page, you revealed the price too soon. Now, if your product's only $17 or $27, it's not a big deal. You could have a button that goes to your checkout page pretty early in the sales letter. But if it's 97 or several $100s or more, you do not want to reveal the price before they read the sales letter because, you know, you haven't established the value. You have not overcome their objections. You haven't shown why your solution is different and better than all the other options. And if you haven't done those things and then they scroll down and they see that it's $97 or $497 or whatever the price is, they may just be, that's too much. I don't want to spend that much. So it's really important that you cover all those bases before you provide a button to the checkout page. Now, some people will scroll. The way to handle that is to have a lot of subheadlines that are bold and provocative, or subheadlines that ask questions that engage them so that they want to see what the answer is, right? Okay, so that's one reason people will abandon the checkout page is because they got there too soon. I will say that video sales letters solve this problem because a video sales letter is like a sales letter, but there's no way for someone to scroll down the page and jump ahead. If they're engaged because you're talking to them about problems and pains they really want to solve, they're really motivated to solve, and they believe that maybe what you're going to offer is going to solve it because your copy is really great, then they'll watch the whole thing before they discover what the price is. And so then you'll get to overcome their objections, right? You'll get to explain why your solution is different and better and cover all those bases before you get to the price. That can improve the number of people who end up buying on the checkout page. There's some other real basic things. Don't assume that just because someone went to the checkout page, they're ready to buy. They're still thinking about it. They're still unsure. So you want to restate your guarantee. You want to show again some of your best testimonials or show different testimonials if you have a lot of them and you didn't show them all on the first page. You want to show an image of what they're getting. So if it's a course and some bonus PDFs, show a product bundle, or if it's supplements or whatever it is, show an image. Those are some things you want to have there: the restatement of the guarantee and risk reversal, testimonials, and also some bullet points to remind them of reasons to buy. And that could be a list of all the bonuses, it could be the names of the chapters in your book, it could just be the benefits that they're going to get when they get this product or service or this program.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I really like how you're really taking time to understand the mindset of the user when they reach the checkout page and reasoning from there.
Yeah. It can also be worth experimenting with a two-step checkout page. I found overall that's valuable because you're capturing the email, right, in case they abandon. And oddly, in my tests with clients, more people seem to end up buying when they've gone through a two-step checkout process. Maybe I shouldn't say oddly. It's probably because they made the micro commitment on the first step, right? That now they're in the mode of saying yes and taking the steps.
Interesting. So, speaking of customer checkout, how do you increase average customer value with decoy pricing?
Oh, yeah, good question. Decoy pricing means that you have three price points, like basic, medium, and deluxe, or whatever you might call it, right? And one of them is not there because you're really hoping people will buy that one. It's there to make the most expensive one seem like a really great value. For example, when I had my company, that the one I mentioned earlier, we had three price points. If you wanted to pay monthly, it was $20 a month, $50 a month, or $60 a month, or you could prepay annually. And the most popular sellers were the $20 and the $60. The reason is that the whole purpose of the $50 option was to have something that's close to the most expensive one in price, but offers a lot less. And so when people saw how much more they were getting for $60, by comparison, it seemed, wow, this is a great value. And that increased the number or the percentage of people that bought the $60 a month program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Decoy means that it's not really there. People could buy it, but it's there. Let me put it this way. If you only have one price point, people have nothing to compare it to. They're like, is this a good value? Is this really what it's worth? How do they know? Maybe they have to go on Amazon or some other or Google and look at your competitors, right, products to see like what are similar solutions going for. But if you have two products or three products, right, basic, medium, and deluxe, that kind of thing, three price points, now they can compare them against each other to see whether or not one or another is a good value or what's the best value for them given the features that they get. So the purpose of the decoy pricing is to convince them that your most expensive one is the best value.
Yeah, and you mentioned something interesting, comparison. What about when businesses have their competitors listed and they have the competitor value, like features, and they have those check boxes for which features each competitor has? Have you seen those work effectively, especially for giving a reference for what the user is paying for and what value it has?
Sure, yeah, it does. I'm working on something like that right now for an air filter company. Now, we're not naming any competitors, but we have a table with two columns. And one talks about most HEPA filters, like filters that meet the HEPA standard, what they do. And then we talk about our air purifier, which removes particles 100 times smaller than the HEPA standard and has a thicker carbon filter to remove off-gassing and VOCs and dangerous gases. Whereas most only have a flimsy piece of fabric that's sprayed with carbon. So we describe a lot of differences between the typical HEPA filter and ours in order to show people why this is different and better and why the other solutions would be, as I said, the wrong solution.
And would you recommend adding their pricing as well? This is what the competitor costs for this package, or just talk about the benefits?
It could be. It depends on how big the gap is. It depends if you're selling, let's say yours is comparable to theirs and 25% less expensive, sure, then you're selling on price. If yours is actually more expensive because it has so many more features and does a better job, then you might not want to show the prices of the others, right? You just want to show that yours is superior and theirs are inferior. So it depends on what are you trying to motivate people with? Are you the cheapest or are you more expensive and the best?
Yeah.
If you're both, then obviously you could show the prices as well.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. One
Okay.
in the current example where I'm working on this air filter sales page, I mentioned that until we pioneered what we did with the technology to get a comparable medical grade air purifier was over $1,000. And because ours is so popular and we're selling it in the thousands, there's economies of scale, right? We can produce them for less money per unit and we pass those savings on to you, especially if you buy directly from our webpage. So those are some of the ways that we compare it price wise.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. Moving on to AI, because a lot of people are using AI for this sort of stuff, especially like coming up with scripts for video sales letters and that sort of thing. What are AI's strengths and weaknesses in this area?
Yeah. So here's one thing that's AI is good for. Let's say that you sell a supplement that helps with pain, joint pain. You can go into AI and say, tell me what are the advantages of using natural or herbal supplements for pain rather than pharmaceuticals, rather than physical therapy, rather than ice packs and hot packs, right? All the other solutions to dealing with pain. And AI will give you a pretty good answer, right? On telling you for your class of solution why it's better than those other classes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But now you need to explain why your natural supplement is better than all the other natural supplements that solve pain. And AI doesn't know because it doesn't know your supplement. It doesn't know what's unique about it, what's better about it, right? Only you know that. That's an example of where AI would fall short. Also, when you're creating a sales page or video sales letter, like I said, you want to have an offer. You want to have a great risk reversal. AI cannot tell you what your offer should be or how to reverse the risk. That's up to you to decide. So these are areas where I work with clients to help them improve conversion rates with decisions that only they can make and that I can obviously guide them with, but those are things that the business owner or marketer has to decide about.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. From what I'm hearing, it's you can put things into the context window for these AIs, but the AI is not going to have the same level of nuance and understanding of your particular industry and what you're hoping to get out of that that offer or web page.
Yeah, AI also doesn't know your unique selling proposition. It doesn't know why what you have is different and better. It doesn't know why that will produce better results or better solve the problem, right? Like with the air filter. Okay, we know that our air filter removes particles 100 times smaller. Now that we've talked about the difference in features, we have to talk about the difference in results, right? What does that mean? Because it removes more VOCs and off gassing, you're less likely to get Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. And then we can talk about studies that show that toxic gases or VOCs can lead to those things. It also can't collaborate with your customers to get better testimonials, right? You have to be the one to ask them questions to evoke those better testimonials. And also, a lot of the copy that AI comes up with is generic. A week or two ago, I met with someone who showed me his landing page, and the headline was very generic: "Thrive and grow your business." It's so broad, I don't really know what his offering helps with. Is he helping with paid ads? Is he helping with scaling? Is he helping with hiring people? So the AI ends up writing copy that's pretty generic and vanilla and sounds similar to many other websites, right? That aren't very convincing. Those are some of the reasons why getting a human involved can make a big difference.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Trevor. This has been a really informative conversation, and I really hope that the listeners gained a lot from it and improved their sales pitches and all of their sales communications as a result. So, thank you so much again.
Sure. Can I mention that we offer free critiques for your listeners?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's wonderful.
Sure. Our website is marketingexperts.com. That's plural and all one word. And you can request to get a free critique of anything that's written. You could share a sales page, an email campaign, a video sales letter, and just answer some questions. We're happy to critique it and show you how it could be better. And I believe in paying it forward. Some of the people that get critiques end up hiring us. But if you want to run with the suggestions, you're welcome to do that as well.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'll definitely be reaching out personally.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Thank you. And thanks everyone for listening. We'll talk to you soon.